it's Debbie with Kip's Corner. Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. I am working on the cover of the Feminine Grunge Journal. I've got a bit of a mess here, and I'd been working away and decided I probably should turn the camera on and show you what I'm doing. So far, I've got the cover ready, the base cover ready to go, and it's got a little bit of a curved spine here. And this fabric is from Tim Holtz's Neutrals palette, and I absolutely love it. I think it's going to look really, really nice for this journal. And then what I've done is I'm using Stamperia's Old Lace paper pad, and there are components that go with that, and one of them is this MDF board corset. And so what I did is first off, I took the MDF board, I mixed some white gesso with some colored, some caramello gesso, and got kind of this beige color, and put that down as my base. I didn't want it to be stark white, like white gesso. I definitely didn't want to use black gesso, so I used the creamy colored gesso. Put that down first, and then I used one of their rice paper pads from the same, all the old lace. And I used a darker portion of this one, put it down on top of that cream colored gesso. And then I went over the edges with a dark permanent ink and into the edges. And then I just kind of lightly went over the whole thing with that dark permanent ink because I wanted this to be darkened up a little bit. Okay, that's that so far. This is the top half of the corset, and it goes like this, and this is the part that I'm working on now. And so on this one, I put the same tinted gesso on top, and then I went over that with through a stencil with some Stamperia cream paste, and then I just started playing with colors a little bit. And on the very top, I've got a little bit of, and by colors I mean some walnut stain, some Stamperia leather aqua color, and just played a little. Then I went over the very top with that with a very light hand of the matte wax from Primo Marketing in Old White. Now this is a little bit whiter than I want it to be, but I'm gonna do another layer of color. I kind of wanted it to dry. So while this is getting nicely dried, what I'm doing is adding eyelets in the holes. So it comes with just, your standard hole. And I happen to have some small eyelets that fit in there nicely, but they don't fit all the way through. The shank is not tall enough. So what I'm doing is taking my glossy accents, I'm dropping a drop of glue into the hole. And I also did not have any, I just had silver or kind of bright gold on the eyelets. Dropping that in there. And so I put the silver eyelets into a little dish with some brown and some sepia alcohol ink. And I got that, it's a coppery kind of color. And the cool thing is, and you probably can't see it on camera, but it's kind of inconsistent in the color, which is perfect because it looks like it's sort of worn, like the coloring of the metal is wearing off a little, so it's perfect. So I've just done that. Then just to set this even further, I don't know if you can see this, but these last few I did here, you can see they're sitting kind of on top of, there you go. They're sitting on top of, the board, just like I dropped them in. But these up here at the top are set in a little bit more. And all I did, and I'm not scrimping the back of it, and I'll show you the back of it in a minute. All I did was take my crocodile. I haven't done from here down. Just took my crocodile, pop it on there, and give it a good squeeze. And that's setting that down in for me, even though I'm not crimping the back of it. And I will show you the difference here. I'll do this whole row. And it was sort of a surprise. I didn't know it would do that. So I'm kind of glad it did. So now if you can see the difference between this row and this row over here, I think maybe you can see, there you go, how these are set in and these are still sitting on top. Hopefully that makes a difference. And so now I'm going to finish these, and they'll all have that inset look to them, and it'll look like they were supposed to be that way all along. And then they'll also have, you know, the bonus of the glue in the barrel. So they should stay just fine. Then what I think I'm going to do is go back over this with another layer, maybe of walnut ink. There we go. Oh, I love that. And like I said, they're not consistent in color because, you know, I used alcohol ink, and that's absolutely perfect. It's got that inconsistent, but it came out kind of a coppery color, so it'll look really pretty, I think, with these browns.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Siri thought I was talking to her. Okay. So what I want to do is this is just my little bottle of walnut stain. I'm just going to go back over this with a spritz on top of the metal and everything. And you can see it's beading up. That's because I have that wax on there. That's not a bad thing. I have a couple of these left over. I'll set those aside because I may be able to use those in a project, you know, inside. There we go. Flip, flip. Let's hit that with a dryer. That's better up there. So I want to try to get a little darker kind of right through here, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and spray another spritz right there. And let's let that drip down. I think that's a little bit better. It was pretty stark white, and I wanted it to look kind of I wanted it to look lacy, but I wanted it to look worn and lacy, if that makes sense. And I think I'm there enough, and I think that works. Yay. I think we're there. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get some dark ink, some permanent dark ink on the sides of this. And on the other one I use, this is Versafine's Fallen Leaves. It's a really nice deep dark ink. Very similar to Tim Holtz's Scorched Timber, but it's a permanent ink. Definitely wanted to get a permanent ink on here. And if I go down the sides like this, I'm going to get a little bit of that up on the edge, which is perfect. That gives me that shadowy look. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Now let's see what that looks like on top of the base. Oops, I just got some ink on that cover, but that's okay. And ta-da! So what I will do before I glue this down is I'll figure out what I want to lace this with. I like that. I like that. Ooh, yay. Let's see if you can see. So it's got some highlights to it, but not, but you know, the colors are very close to the same. Oh, okay, that's ready. The next thing I want to do, and pardon my dirty mess, this was me playing with my gesso. I got it everywhere. The next thing I want to do is I want to put, some rust. See, I got a little bit of dirt there, but that's actually a good thing. I want to put some rust on this cover, and I might actually put some on this one too. So this is going to be my base. How pretty is that? This has got gorgeous printing on it. And then this will sit, and it's got a big old ink blob, but unfortunately, I'm going to cover it. I would have liked to have kept that. Probably going to put this about like that. How pretty is that? I'm excited. I think it really is going to be pretty. So the next thing I want to do is get some rust on. I want to get some rust on this cover. and I want to get some rust on this bookboard base. So I'm going to use Paper Artsy's rusting powder, and it needs to kind of sit up for a little bit. So what I'm going to do, if I can get my, whoops, that's not somewhere around, oh, here it is. I was looking for my vinegar. See, I can tell it's vinegar because it's tinted because it's apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna get this piece out of my way and set that aside. What I'm gonna do on these two is sprinkle some rust on here. Well, let me come back here for just, well, let's do this. I'm gonna sprinkle some rust on here first. I'm laying this down because I kind of want to get an idea for where it's gonna be. Because it doesn't make sense for me to sprinkle rust on here and completely cover it up, right? So I'm going to put a little here and down here. Just kind of come at an angle with that, like that. And then perhaps down here. And then what I'm going to do is pull that off, and I'm going to go below where that was, so I don't have to worry about getting it lined up. And I'm going to put some on the back. Just kind of come down here and maybe up here and put some. Just like this cover's been through a little bit, you know? And that's probably good. Maybe a little bit down, right down here on the spine. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is spritz, let's get this out of my way, both of these pieces where those are with my apple cider vinegar. And then I'm going to walk away for a little bit and let that set up and do its magic. Okay, I'm back, and I did some more playing off camera. My battery actually had died. So, so I finished this off just with some sprays and some walnut stain, and then I added some, I took this sari ribbon that had been in, I think it'd been in a rust bath. It didn't take a lot of rust, but it got grungy, and I ripped this in half and then fed it through my eyelets here. So this little guy is ready to attach. Then I've been playing. I did the rust, finished off the rust here, let this dry. And then when I looked at the rust, I felt like this fabric was too, you know, this is feminine grunge, right? So I felt like this fabric was too pretty. And so I just took some ink and, you know, just kind of grunged it up some more and got it nice and dirty. So it'll look, the idea when this is done is that it'll look, you know, very well loved and worn. So now what I'm doing is just figuring out what I want to do on the front here. And I know that I want this bookboard in the back and this cheesecloth on here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this cheesecloth just in a couple places, just so it doesn't move around on me. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac and just put a few dabs here and there. Just kind of like that, just like I said, so it doesn't move around for me. It will get adhered a little bit better in the next steps. So just getting those on there, and I've got a little rusted safety pin down here. I think that'll do it for now. Get rid of these extra strings. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I've got a pile of some stuff over here, and I want to, I got a pile of stuff everywhere. I want to play with the arrangement and what's on here, and I've got a few pieces. I've got some of this rusted lace that I may put on here. I've got some, this is just, it's a, like a twill just ribbon. It's not real, you know, it's a reproduction of a measuring tape. I've got a few pieces of that cut. I've got some old buttons here, a couple. There's some more up here. So I've just got some buttons, a couple white buttons to play with. I've got a little bit of, this is a metal hinge. I think I've decided not to use this, but I have this piece. This is like a, it's from Joann's when they're shutting down. I got it really inexpensively. It had some little hoops on here, and this was attached up here. I popped those off and popped this off. But then as I was playing with this, it kind of felt like this might be too bright and shiny. So don't know about that. So I'm just going to play with, you know, how this is all arranged on here. And I know that, for example, I know that this is going to go on here about like that, if I can get it straight. Don't want to glue it down just yet because I may put some things up underneath it a little bit. So, so I'm just gonna leave that like that. Make sure it's straight. Okay, then from there, I thought, let's see. I think I'd like to take some of this and run it under here. And then this would have to be straight, of course. And then take that and flip that around up underneath. So I like that. I can't put this on until I get the board down, so I'm just going to set it there for now. And then I want to play with, you know, what else is on here. I've got this rusted safety pin. This piece I kind of really like sitting right here. About like that. That's got some strings. There's little fibers everywhere. So I think I'm going to get that down. And then let's get some buttons on there. These buttons are wonderful. This one's nice and grungy. And so maybe I'll put a button there with that. And maybe a brighter, whiter one. Let's see. Do I like this one? I kind of like, that might be too white. I want to get some more dirty buttons. Maybe, well, that one actually works. Okay, so maybe that's there. And then I have another piece of this that I'm thinking goes, maybe it goes under here. And this flips under here. This is where my brain's going. Like that. Okay, something like that maybe. Okay, I like that so far. I think that might actually be just about it. I've got, let's see. This is the piece that I was talking about that I was originally thinking I would kind of sit here. And while I like it, I have a, you know, I like it, but I don't. It almost takes away from, because your eyes kind of go right to this piece, and it's gorgeous, but, and I love the colors in it, this bronzy kind of color and everything that's going on, but, whoops, but I think I'm going to wait, and maybe I will use that on a mixed media tag inside. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? We've got a rusted washer, which I love using. And I could put a rusted washer on there. That's not horrible. Here's another button. And it's broken, so that's kind of fun. I love that that button is broken. I kind of like that. But I've got this piece too. I was originally thinking I could put it up here, you know, to look like it's a jewel piece, you know, on the corset. But I don't love it there. With the sari in there, it just doesn't, I don't know, I don't feel like it works. And it, again, it kind of distracts from the simplicity. Now I could also put it maybe sideways down here, but it feels unnecessary. So I think that that's another piece that I might save. And maybe there's a button over here. That would be fun. But that's not the button I want to use. Let me go grab some buttons, and I'm going to try to find, you know, sort of a dirty, grungy button somewhere. So that's kind of fun. Okay. I like that. I like that. Now, let me get all of this out of my way so that I don't accidentally use a button that I didn't pick out. Here's another broken button. I love the broken ones. Okay. All right. Now I've got this piece of lace too that's got the rust on it that might look really cool, and maybe there's a little tiny piece of this up underneath here. Let's see, let's chop this up a little. Let's go about right here. Let me just rip that. What if that is under here? If I can get this, whoops, if I can get this lifted up. Oh, I like that. This is a tiny little detail, tiny little touch that adds to that feminine, and you can see the rust coming through. I think that's perfect. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start, I may or may not put the washer on. I'm gonna start putting pieces on. I kind of know where they need to go. And so I'm going to start with this piece down here, and I want to wrap it up underneath the book board that's down here. At least this piece, I mean, it's dry enough. I'm leaving this because what's going to happen is once I finish the journal, then I'll come back and cover the inside here, and then I'll attach this piece down so it comes over the end paper, the inside paper that's here. That makes sense, hopefully. So I'm just going to leave this fly while I work on the inside. I just want to finish up. I've got these 3 buttons, and this is what I've decided I think I'm going to do. And I'm going to attach this first one anyway with, Glossy Accents, which is now all over my fingers. I'm going to drop this here. Now, normally I would add thread to that, but I think it's going to be covered up enough. Well, actually, I take that back. Let me pull that back off. Let me get a wipe. Wipe that up real quick before it dries. And wipe this up. I'm going to go ahead and put some string in here. And actually, I may not I may change my mind about the glossy accents because that was not wanting to. Okay, let's get some string. How about some rusty fiber here, which is just sitting here, so might as well use it, right? Let's see. Let's get this wrapped back around. If I can get that in there. There we go. Good enough. Okay. And then I'm just going to run a couple strings up through here. If I can get that in there. And then I'll tie it off. Okay. There we go. Oh, yep, I like that. I like that. Okay. Let's use, I'm going to use my matte medium again. I've got a dirty, maybe this will work. Just put a little here. And then drop that on. I think that works. Yeah, that works. Okay. This one already has some string on it. So this one I want it to go about right here. If I can get that. Let's see, does that need to go like that? Get that flattened on there. That should work. Now what I typically will do when I'm gluing a lot of pieces is get it all done, and then I will come back, you know, I usually will wait 24 hours and then come back and do a, you know, wiggle test and see if there's anything that's loose or not quite sturdy enough for me. And if they pass the wiggle test, then I feel good about it. But if not, I will add more glue. And this is a case where I might have to come in here and add more glue. Let's just do that now. I want some glue here, over here on this side. I'm gonna build that up a little bit. It might ooze on me. That's okay. That feels better already. What did I do with my... Part of the problem is I'm trying to put a button on top of an uneven surface here. Might have to come up this way a little bit. Ah, that's better. Okay. I want to get the extra goop out of here. Oops. Without moving it too much. All right, this needs to come down. Look at me, I got glue all over the place. Okay. Okay. Don't touch. We'll see. Yeah, that doesn't feel like it's... That does not feel like it's secure. But it might be. I'm going to try not to touch it. Okay, let me do this last one. And this last one I'm putting on top of this cheesecloth back here. So I actually am going to use Fabri-Tac on it, so it'll kind of ooze down into that cheesecloth. So, and it's a broken button, and so I'm going to use the break. And drop it right there. Let's turn that around a little. There we go. I think that works. Yeah, that one works good. These two I might have to glue again, but we'll see. This one's fine and this one's fine. Okay. I think the cover is done. I'm a little worried about that, but oh, it already feels more secure now than it did. Okay, so maybe it will be. Whoopsie, no, I'm messing with it. I said I was gonna not mess with it, didn't I? I wonder if that needs to go higher. No, I want it actually needs to go lower. Okay. See, my fingers are sticky and I'm messing with it. I'm getting glue everywhere. Okay, leave it alone. All right, we will come, leave it alone. Step away from the cover. I'll come back to this once I have let it sit for a bit and test this. I just said that, but otherwise I think it'll be fine and I have to stop messing with it. But here we go. This is the cover of Feminine Grunge. So, or the start of it. Once I finish the inside, I'll come back and put metal corners on all the corners and, you know, decide if there's anything else I want to do with it, but that's at the end. I may do a knob closure. I love my knob closures. That'll be, you know, again, that'll be at the end. So there we go. That's our cover. I hope you like it. And stay tuned for more. I'm going to be working on this journal throughout the course of the next 3-ish weeks or so. And I'm going to be using the Stamperia Old Lace pad. I've got my 5 signature covers from the pad, from the paper pad, pulled, trimmed, and I've got the corners rounded. I haven't done any inking or anything, but you can kind of see it's a gorgeous pad, really. So hopefully I can grunge this up a little bit more. Then I need to find the rest of my papers and determine what else is going to go in this, but hopefully you can kind of see how that's going to start working out. So yes, I'm excited. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I will be back. Bye-bye.